um, looking at a lot of the money aspects, if you were a Deshaun Watson, if you were a Tyreek Hill, if you were an NFL player who suddenly came into more money than maybe you thought you would, or this is trade money, this is surprise money, what would be some good ways to make your football money last you longer outside of the game itself?
Invest in assets that's going to make you money. And there's numerous ways you can do that, especially when you got millions. You can buy apartment complex, you can buy a duplex, you can buy vehicles and rent them out as like you can get chauffeurs. Like exactly, like there's so many things you can do when you have capital. And on top of that, if they were smart, they would make a business and get business credit and really be able to run it up, because having credit is more important than actually cash. So, but the biggest thing is when you have cash, you can get credit a little bit faster because it's easier to apply for, secure loans or secure lines of credit, to where, say like you want to put down $20,000 of your own money and you buy something that's like $10,000 and you pay it off, and you do that thing about 3 or 4, even 5 or 6, 7 times. Now that looks good to like creditors. And while you're making money, whether you're making $20,000, 30 grand from an NFL check, by you going putting money back into the asset, it's almost like basically your money's working for you. Mm-hmm. And that's how you basically can like triple your money, if that, or even more. So personally, like, just, I don't want to be long-winded, but the biggest thing is investing in assets, getting LLCs, that way that if someone tries to sue you, or anybody have differences with you, they can dispute that separately, and you personally won't be hit by that hard. So biggest thing is just invest in assets and make sure you watch your money. Don't just give your moms and your play cousins and the money to do stuff. Like, you got to actually make something of it, because if not, the NFL career only lasts maybe 3 years, if that. So
right.
Yeah.
And I think a great example of that is Trent Williams. He played for the Washington football team, had brain cancer, put it off for a few years until it was diagnosed. But in the meantime, your man's made really big real estate moves, and just to be able to have, you hear it all the time as a kid coming up, what's your plan B? You got to have something to fall back on, right? And I think now more than ever, athletes come into the game knowing that, hey, the fame, the glam, the glitz, all of that, it doesn't last forever. I can't make a living after my playing days just on my name, and I need to make my money work for me while my money is heavy. So
yep. Yeah, I mean, like, everybody's playing Monopoly, right? So, like CG was saying, credit is more valuable than cash. So if we look at this like a Monopoly game, if I got all the money, if I have all the money in the game, but I don't own anything on the board,
you're gonna pay.
I'm just gonna keep paying it
every time you go around.
Every time I go around, yeah, I collect 200 every time I pass go, but I might dish out 1,000 just to get back to right there. Mm-hmm. So definitely investing in things that can appreciate with value. I also saw, speaking of the Trent Williams, he was talking about how he bought a jet. Well, he bought a couple jets, but he was explaining how he bought the first jet through the LLC, like how CG said, wrote that off as a heavy machinery, and actually put it into like a S corp, and wound up basically buying the jet 25% off, because he put that money to the side, wrote that off, got his tax refund back. So it's a lot of ways, especially people that's dealing with a lot of capital. But I mean, even the average person, once you realize that, cash is useless, really, just because of the inflation rate and all of that type of stuff, it's better.
It can be a liability if it's poorly managed.
Right. Like, yeah, you're losing out. The longer your money sits in a savings account, the bank is not doing anything but investing that money, and the bank's the bank's making money off of your money, and your money is just going to stay the same. So that same $10,000,
you're making pennies off.
Exactly. You're
literally pennies.
Literally pennies on the dollar. So I mean, once more people start to figure that out, I mean, they'll probably change the system, but it is definitely better living that way. But again, even using credit, you still have to stay within your means. So if you got a credit card and you spending $5,000 a month and you only bringing in $3,000, that's you living backwards, you know.
Yeah.
So it's all about guns and butter.
Thanks. Yeah. Hey, but I do want to add this though. You know, we're taught as a society that debt is bad, right?
Yep.
But the biggest thing is like the people, like you said, that have capital or people or rich people, they operate off of debt. Meaning, just like you said, so imagine if a rich person goes to the bank and they want to get a loan, right? But they don't have, you know, they don't have cash behind it, but they got good credit, right? So the bank will basically look at that, or a lender will look at their credit and be like, oh, they're good. Give them whatever they want. So now the poor person, you put all your money into that. So imagine if you save like $50,000, right? And you want to take it all at once. You can't, because the biggest thing is banks will, for one, it's the penalty, and two, they won't allow that. Like you might have to make like an appointment to come get it. And the reason why is like a lot of times like they won't have that much cash to give one person at one time on hand, depending on what bank you're banking with. But they'll give that money to a rich person that's looking for a loan. But that's how they make money, because if they give them money to them, they'll get interest and they'll get that money back. So when, you know what I'm saying? So that's how the rich basically play with the poor people's money. It's crazy, but it's crazy because everybody that I know, I always try to get them into trying to be an entrepreneur, and I try to break it down. A lot of people think I'm talking crazy, because the biggest thing is when you take that middleman out, like whether it's a manager or it's a company, you take them out, now you're going to recoup 100% of the earnings, right? But by you doing that, you're going to take care of insurances, all the bills, all the other stuff. And a lot of people, they don't want to do that. So
they don't want to deal with the risk.
Right.
You're dishing more money out in order to receive more money back.
But at the same time, that's a short game. Like you think like, dang, I don't want to worry about this. I'd rather somebody just basically set my ceiling and I don't got to worry about X, Y, and Z. So whenever I have a conversation like that, it goes over people's head, because they're like, nah, or they'll be like, I don't know what I can be good at. And the thing is, like, anything that you're good at, for the most part, you can make money off of. As long as your brand or what you're selling is true and you know what you're talking about and you can help people, then you're gonna make money off of it. But the thing is, nobody is willing to be uncomfortable and go through that type of stuff.
In the short term, you got to be uncomfortable in the short term to be successful in the long term. And every entrepreneur who's been successful, I feel like, has bet on themselves and done that. You know, if you look at the Warren Buffetts, the Bill Gates, I mean, folks was down bad. Like they wasn't always, you know, at the tip of the top, you know. So I think that's a personal decision for everybody. But if you are at a point to where you're tired of playing ball in the system as it exists, then it's certainly something to maybe look into, or at least
everybody should have one. I think everybody should have some kind of LLC, something. Even if you don't make a lot of money off of it, just have it, because that's basically having a brand new person. Like once you get your EIN number,
that's it.
Then you basically can, like, you know, build that credit up. Imagine if you got bad credit yourself, bad personal credit, but then you kind of
get business credit A1.
Your business credit. It's almost like if I can't get that loan, and on top of that,
my business can get it.
Right, and on top of that too, if you're going to get lines of credit or you're trying to get loans, you'll actually end up getting more through a business loan rather than a personal loan, or through personal credit, or through, you know, personal we want to call it real estate type thing. So that's the way to go, man, for everybody, I feel.
Yeah, 100% agree, man. And like I said, a lot of people in our community is like you said, is so used to the cash. You know, when you start making money as a kid, you know, you start by putting that money in a shoebox or a piggy bank. You know, having it in your room,
somewhere you could touch it,
you can see it, you can tangibly hold it. And so breaking out of that mode is difficult. Like even for myself, like first hearing about that, I'm like I had a credit card and just never used it because, like CG said, I don't want to be in any type of debt. Not realizing that me paying that debt back is
build your credit,
building my credit rather than having this cash and, spending it on something that really don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Spend it on some clothes or something, and as soon as you wear the clothes one time is basically worth it.
And I think in the Black community, we all know people who have mismanaged their money or poorly managed credit, right? Mm-hmm. And my story is not that much different from anybody's story in that regard. But one thing, just while we're speaking on finances and financial literacy, one thing that my dad did, my parents and my dad especially did to help me build credit, he opened an account in my name. And we all know how that goes sometimes in our community. I don't need to say no whole lot about it.
Light bills, phone bills, cable bills.
but I'm still fly. You know what I'm saying? Got taking gas in my new E-Class. All right. But one thing that he did, and I was right around college age, 18. We opened a joint account. He opened an account in my name and his name. And one thing that he did for me that I'm grateful now as a homeowner at 34 years old is, we bought the things I needed for college. We bought the laptop. We bought the flat screen TV. We bought the couch. We bought these things on credit at the time. And if he had cash money, it was things that, your parents would have bought for you to help you get started anyway. But he bought those things for me on credit and paid it off. So now coming out of college, my credit score is up off Rippy. And I didn't have the same money we would have spent cash in the store for these things. He put together for me like that. And, I'm lucky to have a father like that. I'm lucky to have parents like that. That's not everybody's story. But if a LLC maybe is a step too far for you, these are small ways that we can build credit, buy manageable things and get it took care of. Buy manageable things and pay it off. And in that way, even if your credit ain't all the way together, you still building credit for your future, for your children. And that's just a way to set them up without having generational wealth. We hear generational wealth, generational this. We hear it all the time, but it has to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't already exist, it has to start somewhere.
Can I say something real quick? Hey, shout out to your pops, Stone. Like, really, that's a stand-up dude for that, for real.
He's a cool guy. He's a real cool guy. Shaw, I know you don't know my pops like that. CG, you know my pops pretty well.
Cool. He cool in the fan, man.
That's real though, man.
If you see this, shout out to you, man. I haven't seen in a while. Hey, I know you still doing good. Tone looking good. No homo. That's my boy.
Nah, that's what's up, though, man. Like, even both of y'all, man, that's what's up. Like, both of y'all got like strong fathers that was with y'all and like guided y'all through, young life. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's what's up, man. Like me, myself, like my pops, not to say my pops wasn't there, but he wasn't physically there, a couple states away. So everything I learned was through, the old adage, reach your hand in the fire and get burnt. So that's what's up. But that's what's up, man. Being around y'all definitely passed that knowledge around too. So
yeah. Just anything like is and I had a mentor, a videographer that I learned from very early on in my career. And he would always say, I don't know why anybody would ever want to, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. I don't know why anybody would want to skin a cat. There's more than one way to do it. So I think when we're talking about finances and we're talking about literacy, everybody wants money. Everybody wants to have as much money as they can, as quick as they can. And, there's more than one way to do anything and be successful at what you're doing. So the more avenues that people are aware of, start small. It don't have to be a big investment. Bitcoin, right? Like, just buy some. It may go up, it may go down. Man, $5 worth of Bitcoin ain't gonna make or break nothing. But get you some. Get in the game. You got to start somewhere.
True. Definitely, fellas. Like, now I was gonna say, like, you see, all my sneakers back here. More than half of these haven't been worn. So a lot of them I look at like they're investments. I mean, if I want to wear them, I can wear them. The thing is, like, I'm not gonna go into detail how I got them, but just know that they're gonna make me money, or they have made me money. So it's just one thing when like people see stuff and they don't know how you got it or how or why you how or why you got it type thing. and deep down, it's like it's either an investment or what I bought is maybe money because I could have used my credit card, my business, like things like. And again, I'm not gonna get into it. And,
you didn't maybe have to come out of pocket. You didn't have to be cash for these things.
Right. So a lot of times, whether it's a lot of the clients that I have, they see that I have a lot of sneakers, and they always ask me like how do you do that? And some of them say like, well, I think I pay you too much as a joke. And I'm like, I don't even use your money. Like literally, they're like, and they ask me, they're like, how? Like how? Like you got all these sneakers. I'm just like, for one, I get what I want and I get what I like, and I don't go too crazy on it. But I try to make an executive decision because I am, a business owner, and on top of that,
the CEO.
Yes, and also like I'm into other things that make me money too, such as laundromats. But again, as far as like I'll tell you this, I'll go a little bit in that. I don't own a laundromat, but as far as a couple washers and dryers, you can make some money off of that. And I can tell y'all some stuff off camera about that. But I'm telling you, man, like, it's a lot of. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, not to cut you off, but it's real easy to keep going and say more than you intend to. But we've all seen the stories or heard the stories of the people who have bought their kid like a vending machine.
Oh man, listen, a vending machine. Right? That's vending machines make money, man.
My kid turned 16. And we've seen it on social media, and people say, "Well, why would you buy a kid a vending machine? They want a car. They're 16."
And those are the same people. Those are the same people you're talking to right now.
We've heard the peanut gallery comments, right? But residual income, right? Like mailbox money, right? Like making money while you're asleep. Like if you can pay to restock that vending machine, the vending machine may not pay for itself in a month. Right, but
it's long-term investment
in 4 months.
Really though, depending on where you at and how much you're charging.
Yeah,
right. So
and what's in it, and what's in it? Because just because it's a vending machine, don't mean you can only sell pops and candy bars and
That's the same thing when you see people buy like Rolexes. I ain't talking about the bust down. I'm talking about the plain Janes.
Those cost more.
They go up in value.
Right. Daytonas.
Yeah.
So look, fellas. So look, if you ever see me on this podcast and I got an Oyster Perpetual or I got one of those joints, you like how? I'm like, look, we can have a whole podcast on this Rollie.
For the folks at home that don't know what perpetual means, that's the rollies that don't tick-tock.
They don't tick.
They don't. They just the second hand just go. Like it don't stop. It don't stop. And you wind them and you put them on and you go on. And anybody, Rolex especially, the amount, the number. And now you got me talking. The number of watches that Rolex makes as a company. Some are more valuable than others.
Yeah.
But your Pepsis, your Coca-Colas, look up some of these nicknames for some of these watches, and you'll see how much they go for. The Prezzies, right? The Gold Oyster Perpetual, given to Dwight Eisenhower as a president, as a gift. And that's how it got the name, the Presidential Rollie. The band, don't get me started. I'm saying, watches are a safer investment if you buy the right watches.
You're almost better off buying that than a car. I'm trying to tell you.
Ain't no almost. It's gonna cost you more than one. but it'll sell for plenty when you need to cash it in. Ask John Mayer. Ask John.